Everybody do me a huge favor. Go subscribe to my buddy Wesley's channel. It's called Keys Customs on YouTube. He's got a ton of cool projects happening right now. I got the Mustang from him. He got that 55 Chevrolet from me. We do a lot of horse trading and we go on a lot of adventures. So go check out his channel. You're going to like it. On this episode, we're going to take a supercharger that was on display at Summit Racing, wipe the fingerprints off of it, and slap it right on my 57 Chevrolet and see what happens. Let's go down here and look at the blowers.
It's gone.
Oh, wait. Where did they go?
I don't know.
Yeah. Look at all those goodies. It is finally time to put the blower on the 57. This has the Roadkill Ramp Truck's original 454, and it's super clean. We put a comp cam in it a couple years ago when we raced Tony on an episode of Roadkill that was in my Nova. It's since been sold, and we pulled the motor out of that and put into my 57, and I've beat the heck out of this thing, and it's taken it. I mean, it doesn't care. It has never let me down, so now I'm gonna put a blower on it to see how far I can take this thing before it lets go. I'm not gonna try and blow it up, but I mean, I'm not easy on things, and I mean, I'm ready to party. This thing's gonna look cool, it's gonna sound cool. It's not exactly made for boost because it's just a crate motor. So it's got oval port heads on it. It's a rec port intake, so the alignment there is not gonna be great, but it will still work. It will still make power, and most importantly, look freaking awesome. So let's go see what I got. If you've ever been to the Summit store in McDonough, Georgia, and you've walked down the carburetor aisle, there's a good chance you walked up to this blower and spun it. Because I did. Every single time I went in the store, if I walked around, that's the first thing I did. I walk up, spin this blower. This was their display model, and all these are discontinued now. So I was able to buy this right off the shelf. It's brand new. It was put on the rack after Weiand made it, and it's never been used. The rotors are in perfect shape. The seal is still on the bottom. So all I gotta do is do a little bit of cleanup here from all the fingerprints and dust from over the years. And we're gonna slap that right on the 57 and make some noise. If you know anything about superchargers, you know they're not very light. They weigh a pretty good amount. Luckily, I've got most of all the front of the car taken apart here. So I'm gonna attempt to do this by myself without tearing anything up. I don't care about anything else, I just don't wanna drop the blower. So it is a polished 671 Weiand blower, and I've got everything ready to go. I am missing a couple pieces on the back, damn it, now that I look at it. There's a vacuum port that I gotta find a thing for. All right, take two. Okay. All right, I got our barb fitting into the back of the intake there. That will tie to the carburetors because they're boost reference carburetors, so it has to tie into the vacuum port of the intake in order to squirt more fuel in there under boost. So now, other than the pop-off plate on the back of the intake that I'm missing, I had to order it, it's been overnighted, but I'm not waiting. I will fight it when it comes in because once I get this blower on here, you can't hardly reach your hand around behind it. I don't even have plug wires. It's gonna be a nightmare to put plug wires on this car, but I don't care. I wanna put the blower on it right now. I'm impatient. I gotta see what it looks like because once I do that, I can put the carburetors on it, I can do the linkage, the fuel lines, the scoop, the belts. I can make a lot of progress if I go ahead and put that blower on here. So to hell with it. Let's go. Okay. Blower's cleaned out. Tell me the truth. Good thing is I can get you stand right here. Put this bad boy on. All right. I don't move that bad to get into the plug wires. Granted, the carburetor's not on there yet, but it's not as bad as I was thinking. Oh yeah, we're good. You can reach right through here, pop the plug wires on. Good God, that looks awesome. Damn. It's like raw. we're making huge progress on the 57. Let me show you guys where we're at right now. All right, the supercharger is bolted on permanently. The carburetors are bolted on. I got the throttle linkage all dialed in. This stuff came from alkydigger.net. This scoop came from there as well. The carburetors came from Holley. They're quick fuel 750 boost reference carburetors. And obviously the Weiand supercharger came from Summit. It was on the display. So like I said, if you ever went through that store, walked by this, there's a good chance that you spun this. So electric water pump, I still need to order the bracketry for the power steering pump and the alternator, which I need to get that ordered today. And I got to measure the clearance for the radiator to the blower because there's a radiator that I want to run in this. I don't know if it's going to fit. So once I get all the belts and pulleys on there, I will take some measurements and order the radiator. So, but pretty much all that's left is plug wires, and I got to hook my fuel line from here to the carburetors. So once I do that, we can fire this thing up. Stretch it.
Hey,
Okay,
what?
that one's really close. The only issue I see is right there.
Where?
On the other one. So that one's really close though.
Oh my God, look, scrub stuff.
Yeah, we gotta figure that out. That's the winner so far, so set it to the side. Set it over there. Next. Too short. Over here.
Wait, let's try those two again.
Hold on, I'm gonna give you some more. All right, that's it. That's our winner right over there. Yep. The blower install is complete. It's been a week of hell because I've been missing a bolt here, a spacer here, a shim there. Finally got most of the pieces to finish putting this thing together, and I'm still short a few pieces because right now the belt is too far back on the pulley, so I had to order a different idler stand to push it out another inch so I can get rid of all the washers and spacers I have on there now. So I'm waiting on that. I had to order a new belt because that one's really rough, and it's obviously, it came with a kit, but it's in rough condition. I don't know if somebody's took a knife to it or what, but it looks very worn out. So I ordered a new belt for that. I had to order a vent for the front case because this one didn't have one, and I'm not sure if they're required, but I'd rather put one in there because working on all the Finnegan stuff over the years, all of them had a vent. So I didn't want to not put one in there and have something happen, like blow out a seal or something. So, but we got the timing set. The thing runs beautiful. I got to bleed the brakes before we drive this thing because I also took off the booster and master cylinder that I had on here before, and we put a Willwood, just a standard master cylinder on here that's not power. So it gives me a lot more room, and I can pull the valve cover off on this side now. So it never worked great before because it didn't put out that much vacuum. So I just did away with all that, and it looks way better. The radiator I absolutely love. It came from Griffin. It's a direct fit radiator for a Tri-5. It fits a V8 core support, which for those of you who don't know, a V8 core support mounts the radiator on the inside towards the engine because the V8 is shorter. The 6-cylinder version puts the radiator on the outside of the core support because the engine is longer. So this actually mounts on the V8 core support, but puts the radiator in front to give you room, and it utilizes the whole front area. It dips down into the sheet metal. It takes up as much room as you can, and it works and looks really good. I'm assuming it works really good. I hadn't drove the car yet, but I mean, from what I see here, it held 5 gallons of water just right off the bat, and I got a big 3,000 CFM fan on there, so I'm hoping that keeps this thing cool enough to ride around and sit in some traffic. But like I said, this is a 671 Weiand blower that was on display at Summit Racing in McDonough, Georgia. It was put on display in 2004, and it was brand new. The seal was still on the bottom. It had oil in it. So, I mean, if you ever been to Summit Racing, you probably went by this and spun it, because I did every single time I went in the store. So, it's got a pair of Quick Fuel 750 boost reference carburetors on here. The scoop is a Blower Shop giant oval scoop that I got from alkydigger.net, which is a lot of this stuff came from there. The throttle linkage came from there. The scoop came from there. The fuel line stuff came from there, and a lot of miscellaneous pieces that I needed also came from there, like the belt and stuff like that. So hopefully later today, if it stops raining, we're going to bleed the brakes real quick and take this thing on a test drive. But for right now, this thing sounds and looks amazing. It will not have a hood on it because why? Why would you do that? So, and plus the hood was yellow anyway. It was all beat up. As far as the accessories, I'm running a mechanical short water pump that I got from Summit, and I got a dual V-belt pulley for the front of it for a short water pump. And then I'm running a power steering pump that I had sitting on the shelf. I don't know if it's for a long or short, but basically it's got 3 different pulleys on it, and I lined it up with washers to match up with the bottom pulley on the crank just right, and it fits perfectly. So what that's doing, that's driving the water pump, and then I'm driving the alternator off the water pump only, because when I try to drive it off the crank and the water pump, it was interfering with the lower radiator hose. So I just put a shorter belt on it, and it's just running off the water pump itself. So that's how I'm running the accessories. I had a lot of questions about that when I put this picture on the internet. People were like, how the hell are you running the accessories with the blower? And that's how. Here's the brackets that I use. This is the power steering bracket that I use. I don't know if you can see that. We'll put it right there. I got a lot of questions on how I made all these belts work. This is for the alternator bracket. It hangs it off the passenger side midway down, right there. And the belt alignment is perfect. I've got plenty of adjustment. So if you need help in that category there's your part numbers. It'd help me out. So, but right now, let's fire this thing up. Enough of me talking. Let's hear this thing. And of course, why would you have one of these if you didn't have the blower whine? A lot of people don't realize that that blower whine comes from the belts. They assume that it comes from the gears and stuff in that supercharger, but it doesn't. It's air trapped under that belt. And what people don't realize also is there's an 8mm pitch and a 1/2-inch pitch. The 1/2-inch pitch is more of an old school, and that's the loud version of those belts. The 8mm is the quiet version. So you may have a blower or may see a blower on something and you don't hear the whine. It's because they're running an 8mm pitch blower setup. So of course I went with the loud version because why not? I want to go old school. It looks awesome and sounds badass. So like I said, there's a lot that we didn't film because I would come out here and work on it for about 5 minutes and realize I needed to change something or order something. So there's a lot of trial and error and trying to figure all this out, but this is a hood full. I literally had to trim the firewall right up here to clear the carburetors and linkage back here, and I'm only like a 1/2 inch away from the core support on the front. So like this is literally as much as you can stuff in this car without doing a lot of modifications. So whenever I put this engine in here to begin with, I nailed it on the placement, because if it was any further back or any further forward, it wouldn't have fit. I'd had to start cutting stuff, which would have sucked. But come back for more, because when it stops raining, we're gonna go drive this thing, see how long of a burnout it'll do now, because it ripped tires before, and I have a feeling with about 100 more pound-feet of torque, it's gonna do even better. I forgot to tell you guys that we're running a fluid damper on the crank also, because I got rid of the stock one because I didn't want that thing to come apart and spin or whatever. So I wanted to make sure that was bulletproof, and it's got an ARP bolt holding all that together. So we should be good.